Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I have a legendary singer with me today, Diane Schuur. Deeds, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks, Tiggs. It's good to be here. And today, I don't know if this is live streamed or not, but the 8th of May is an important day because the album came out today. Or the CD.
Yeah, I got your album already, and it sounds amazing. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the album and what it means to you? Because it is a special album for you.
The process took a total of 2 years. And it means a lot to me, especially in the time that we're living in right now, which, as I was doing this process, was unbeknownst to me. And I had no idea that this, what all of us are going through was going to happen like this. Mm-hmm. So the timing of it was impeccable. And of course, working with these wonderful musicians, with Ernie Watts on sax and Tom Rotella on guitar and Kai Palmer on trumpet and Kendall Kay on drums and Bruce Lett on bass. Just great musicians, great cats to work with too. When we were jamming on a tune like Everybody Looks Good at the Starting Line, that was pretty phenomenal in that studio. But all of the songs were really very special to record, in their own way anyway. Yeah. And the reviews have been really nice because people don't have a lot of other things to do. They're streaming a lot on the media platforms, on the social platforms like Amazon and, iTunes. And in fact, it's so interesting because on the day that people started streaming this album, I just told Alexa, play the album Running on Faith by Diane Schuur, and she started playing it. So I thought I'd try it on iTunes. So I had 3 different devices going at the same time. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Let's backtrack a little bit and talk about the Washington connection, because I live in Seattle and I know you have a Washington connection.
Well, I was born in Tacoma, Washington, and it rained a lot growing up, and of course, but the fresh air, there is just nothing like it while I lived there. I lived south of Seattle. If you get out into the country, it's just nothing like the smell of that fresh air. And spent a lot of time at the state school in Vancouver, Washington. Used to go there by train or by car from when I was 4.5 till I was went there for almost 7 years, the state school for the blind. But grew up around a lot of music, George Shearing and Earl Bostic and Sarah Vaughan and Dinah Washington. I did that song, This Bitter Earth. And that was an emotional experience because that really got into my roots from when I was a kid. Yeah, it's just really interesting.
You said getting emotional, and I remember watching a performance of yours with Stevie Wonder, and he was getting emotional hearing you perform. How was that? And have you two ever collaborated?
Yeah, he wrote a song for me. It's on an album called For Schuur, and it's the last track. Mm-hmm. Stevie wrote it for me, and we both did it in 2000.
That's amazing. Yeah. Another great collaboration which you've had for a number of years, I think a little bit early on in your career, was Stan Getz. And he's a legendary figure. What was it like collaborating with him? And when did that collaboration start? How old were you?
Well, he heard me at the Monterey Jazz Festival in 1979. Then we started collaborating on the different albums starting in the White House came first, actually, in 82. And we did a couple of other gigs before that. In fact, it's on my website, the White House gig with Stan Getz and Itzhak Perlman was on, on violin, and Chick Corea is on piano, and a great rhythm section and so on. And we all jammed it at the end of the White House concert. And it was shown on PBS. It's an all-star jazz concert. And Nancy Reagan was in the audience watching. And yeah, that was definitely something I'll never forget. And then Stan was on 3 of my albums. He was on the Deedles album, which came out in '84, which coincidentally, I did that album in Seattle. And I got together with Dave Grusin, and he arranged pretty much everything at the apartment where I lived. I lived right above the Pike Place Market, a place called the Stewart House. And I'll never forget when he did the tune from the album Timeless. He actually came to Seattle and worked out the tune Easy to Love. He worked out the big band riff for it. It was amazing. I don't think he wrote down a note. I think he just created it.
Wow.
As he was doing it. Yeah, it was quite an amazing process.
Wow.
It really was.
Let's change gears a little bit. I want to know what you listen to. You've collaborated with some of the legends in the music industry. What do you listen to other than jazz? I mean, there must be other genres that you listen to.
Classic rock, especially from the 70s and very early 80s. I don't go much beyond that. I love what I've heard of classical music. I really enjoy that, you know, Clair de Lune or Firebird Suite. That's one of my favorites by Stravinsky. And I love the different songs the different movie scores that John Williams has written. And so it's kind of an eclectic kind of thing.
Yeah.
And actually, I like this this tune. It's called Better Days by One Republic. And they started playing that when this pandemic hit a lot. They used it on a car commercial. Then I thought, let's see if Alexa can bring that up, and she did. And every once in a while, when I need a lift, I'll go ahead and blast that song and everything. So.
Reading about your album and what you wrote about it, and I know it means a lot to you, and you've been waiting to do this for a while. But what's another thing? What's something other than this album? What's a collaboration? What's a song? What's something that you haven't done and it's always been in the back of your mind to do it, and you just haven't had the opportunity to do it yet?
Well, let's hope I get an opportunity within the next couple of years, because nobody's touring right now.
Yeah.
But not to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind. The Brecker brothers have a great band, and I've worked with the Basie band a lot, the Count Basie Orchestra a lot. I'm hoping that this gig materializes that we're supposed to be doing in February. I hope that comes about. Yeah.
What are you doing now? Because I did look at your website, which is a fantastic website. For those who haven't checked it out, check it out. It's amazing, and a lot of information on there. A lot of concerts are being canceled. What are you doing now? How are you communicating with people? What musical projects are you doing in this time?
Well, I'm not really doing any music projects at the moment. I'm just basically keeping current on what's happening in the news. Just doing a lot of reading, just kind of like slowed things down a little bit, getting together on the phone with friends, social distancing, trying to follow the rules in regards to all that. So that's basically it.
Yeah, looking at, for those who don't know, you won 2 Grammy Awards back to back. and the people who were on that, nominated those years were pretty legendary figures, just like you. How did it feel to win those awards among the list of such important figures in music?
It felt great. Nothing like that feeling, It was pretty special.
So what's a life-changing moment for you, Deeds? What's an important moment that you got to in your career and you said, I really got somewhere? What's a life-changing moment?
Oh, a couple of them. Carnegie Hall, when I performed with Stan Getz, that was a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Paying tribute to Stevie Wonder was a moment.
Uh-huh.
At the Kennedy Center Honors, doing my skydive with an instructor, that was a moment. You can find that on the website too. And that took place on November 25th, 1998.
Wow.
For those of you who might be interested. Yeah, collaborating with Barry Manilow on the album Midnight, which he produced. Gosh.
Lots to remember.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
I'm assuming Sesame Street appearance has...
Oh, yeah, Sesame Street. In fact, I saw Elmo not too long ago on this little thing that they had. But it happened, I think there was a TV show on Saturday morning about Elmo and Big Bird talking about the coronavirus, trying to explain it to children. I thought it was really very well done. And but it was really fun working with Elmo. It was really cool. Enjoyed that a lot.
Well, your fans and your followers over the years know many things about you. What's something that you're willing to share with us that many people don't know, or many of your fans don't know about you?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm a cat lover. I have a kitty named Puss Puss. Not sure where Puss Puss is right now. Yeah, she's probably hanging out in the guest room sleeping. Let's see what else. I don't know. Just it's not a whole lot.
You've collaborated with so many important figures. Did you ever come to a moment where you didn't? Because a lot of musicians face this. They face, getting on stage and they're afraid to perform. They have stage fright. Was there ever a moment that you overcame that, or did you ever even have that?
I didn't really have it a whole lot. I remember when I first appeared on The Tonight Show in '86. I was a little bit scared there for a second, and then doing my first Carnegie Hall performance, that was a little unnerving. But other than that, I've always felt very much at ease on stage and everything. So yeah, that's where I really feel at home.
Your nickname, I want to hear about your nickname. And you also gave me a nickname, which I love. But what's the story of your nickname?
Well, Mama used to call me Deedle Babe when I was a kid, and then people shortened it to Deedles, and then it was shortened to Deeds, and that's how I introduced myself to you, and then I called you Tiggs, and you liked it, so.
That's awesome. That's awesome. One thing with musicians who have toured all over the world and played with so many musicians, they always have some interesting stories. Stories of things didn't go well, or that things didn't happen on stage or something. What's a story? What's something that comes to mind where you got on stage, the mic wasn't working or something?
I know. We did a gig in it was Houston. I can tell you a story. We were performing really nicely with the symphony orchestra, Steve Tyrell and myself, and all of a sudden the power went out, the lights went out, and so the musicians had to go home.
Wow.
And not all of the musicians, but the people in the symphony orchestra had to go home, except for I think a couple of the trumpets might have stayed. But we had to do the second half in darkness pretty much.
Wow.
And people were, it didn't bother me, of course. but we managed somehow to, to finish out the concert with no microphone or anything.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well,
Mm-hmm.
based on your experiences and everything you've done, what advice would you give to young musicians? There's so many musicians out there trying to make a career, and it's not easy. And I'm sure you've had your fair share of many struggles. But what advice would you give them?
Well, keep believing in yourself. There's a song called "Music Is My Life" that was written by Carol Coates. It's on an album of the same name. Mm-hmm. But there's a lyric in that song: if there's a dream, if there's a gift you need to share, no matter how it goes out there, mm-hmm. you've got to see it through, pursue your star, however dim, however far. Mm. I think that's a great lyric. And I think it kind of like encapsulates people just need to keep believing. I need to keep believing, and especially in this time. But I just got to keep living in gratitude, Tiggs, and know that it isn't forever.
Yeah. In the recent years, what's a song, what's a piece that you worked on that you really stuck with you? Especially, I'm looking for an answer of living composers or living musicians that you've done, because I know you've performed with many legends, but what's someone young that composes and you really enjoy what they're doing?
Young. Well, I was just telling you about that tune "Better Days" by One Republic. I thought that's great. That popped out at me a few weeks back. I deal with the old classics, the vintage stuff, by Hendrix and Ross and different things. I love the pieces that Joni Mitchell has written and albums and so on. Diane Reeves is really good. Patty Austin's really good, and so on. So. Yeah.
I had, I don't know if you know Christian McBride, jazz bassist. He was on my podcast, and we talked a little bit about how, jazz seems to have gotten away from being people's music a little bit in some ways. What do you think about that? Why is there, in some ways, feels like less people are listening to jazz as they were, maybe 30 years ago or so? Or do you feel that that's the case or not?
Well, let's hope they're doing it a little bit more because they're staying home a little bit more. I actually performed with Christian McBride in Italy many years ago. I remember that. Yeah, maybe this will turn the tide with jazz.
Yeah.
People will stream it a little bit more. They're not going to be out running around so much and so on. And, maybe that's one of the reasons that my album has a little bit of a foothold.
Yeah.
Even before it was released.
It's been great having you on, and this is something that I think it's good to get the artist perspective. Why should people listen to your album? What's the reason? Why? I mean, you have over 20, 30 albums. Why should they listen to this one?
Because it's good.
What's unique about it though? What's something that's unique about it compared to all your other albums?
Because I produced it.
Wow.
And I chose every one of those songs myself. And of course, Ernie Watts co-produced it. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. And I arranged everything. That's what's different about this from all the others. The other albums have been great, and it's been wonderful working with the big boys, but it's I'm really proud of this. And I really hope that it impacts the world in a good way.
Yeah. It's a special album, and I did read the notes that you had for it, and I know it means a lot to you. And I can't remember, how many albums have you done? Is it 30, over 30 at this point?
It could be more. It's pushing 30, I think. Yeah.
That's amazing. What a career.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to share with us before I let you go and not waste too much of your time, Dan?
Oh, well, Tiggs, just want to let the fans out there know that I love you all, and my heart and soul is with each and every one of you during this time of grief that we're all feeling collectively. And actually tomorrow I'm going to get tested myself, not because I have any symptoms, because I'm asymptomatic. I just want to make sure I'm okay. So I'm doing that for myself, but I'm doing that for my loved ones as well. I think it's really important. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah. And one last question. I always have this. We almost there near the end, and then I think of something else. As someone who's done so many different songs, when you listen to a song, what's something that you look for? What's a great song for you? Is it the lyrics? Is it the music? What catches your attention?
It's both. Yeah, it's if it's both equally. I remember flying home from Germany, and that's I was on the airplane, the system, that they have, the entertainment system, and The Sun Will Shine on You. I heard that for the first time in mid-flight, and I thought, I need to see what I can do to interpret that. So I did.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I hope we could do this in person one of these days. I do love doing the podcasts in person. It's just with everything happening around the world and the current situation, we just can't get together. But I do hope that your concerts, are postponed, and they you could go back to it and bring them to your fans and to the people who love your music, which is fantastic. And I do love the album. I listened to it a couple of times, and I also listened to it with my 8-month-old. He loved it too, I think, because he wasn't crying; he was just listening. So,
that's wonderful. That is just, Tiggs, that's so cool. But I'm curious. You're a conductor, right?
Yes.
And you conduct for?
Well, I conduct with various orchestras. I also work a lot with youth orchestras, which is another, something I'm very passionate about, working with the youth. So just a variety of orchestras.
Wonderful. I've got a lot of wonderful charts for orchestra, for strings, and the whole thing. So, you know what, Tiggs, we've got to see if we can get that together someday.
That'll be awesome. It'll be great to collaborate with you.
There's a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Got a really cool library of orchestral stuff. So, yeah.
Since you mentioned that, I have to ask, your arrangements, how do you work on your arrangements? How do you compose music, and what's the process like for you?
A lot of people I don't do the orchestral stuff, but like on this latest album, I arrange it with kind of like in my head. And then I play it on piano, and the musicians are taking out their pencils and marking the different things that need to be done. So that's how I do it, because I don't really read music. I play by ear. So,
that's amazing. That's amazing. And when you said that, I remembered one of your collaborations with Ray Charles, and he was speaking so highly when he was introducing you on stage. I can't remember what it was, but it was a fun performance, and you both got to jam out and perform together. It was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. It was done at the Lighthouse for the Blind in Miami, Florida. That's where that took place. It was on a TV special that he had.
Wow.
And I was his guest on there. That's another highlight. I'll never forget that as long as I live, Tiggs.
Yeah.
It was really special. Yeah.
And it makes it even more special when someone like that introduces you the way he introduced you. It says a lot about your musical abilities and your musicianship.
Well, it was a great honor to work with him, and thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Deeds. It's a pleasure. I wish our connection was better. It's okay, but we got to some good questions, and I love hearing your stories and everything that you said. That's a truly remarkable career what you've done, and very inspirational to a lot of youth.
it's been a real pleasure, and for me too, Tiggs, and just we gotta, we'll get through this. We are getting through this. It's just a day at a time, kind of a deal. I mean, I'm happiest when I'm working, but
yeah,
while this thing is going on, I've just gotta be thankful for what I got. Like that song says, just be thankful for what you got.
Yep. Thank you so much, and thanks to Owen and all your assistants and people who helped organize this and put this together. So thank you so much, Owen. I think Owen was saying Bachiks.
Yeah, I was saying Bachiks. For Deeds to say Bachiks too.
That means kisses in Armenian, and so.
Armenian. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Bachiks. Yeah.
So I was telling her to say goodbye to you. Say Bachiks.
Well, thank you, Bachiks.
Thank you so much.
She loves Armenian food. She eats it all the time.
I love the tabbouleh and all of that stuff.
Thank you so much, Deeds. It's been a pleasure. I hope we do this in person one of these days.
I hope so too, Tiggs. And even more importantly, I hope we can perform together with the big orchestra some of the tunes that I've got in my library. That would be just really rad.
That'll be awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Tiggs.
Have a beautiful day. Take care.
You too, dear.